was that? Are you okay? You nearly gave me a heart attack.
Are you sure you've never used a Legion before? You're already way better at it than Max.
I'm standing right here, Alicia. But I gotta admit, that was something. Damn thing moved like it was a part of your body.
Okay. Copy that. Understood. Well, that seems to be all of them. We'd better get back to HQ.
All right, you two are coming with us. I'll try to explain all this later.
Sky turns west, swallowing up each and every being in this town. Hopes, hearts, everything is falling down.
Far away in the skyline, crowd of apparitions crawling around. It's calling, growing louder.
Are we the future of this burning hell? It's a fight for a paradise, fight for our lives. So keep holding on until we break the spell. Feel yourself, reach for the light in darkness and despair. If there comes a time when you are falling down, I'll be your savior. I'll be your savior.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the second episode of Chobra Plays Astral Chain. What we just saw is actually the official opening of the game. That is how it plays out after you finish the introductory mission. So it just hits you right in the face with an anime opening, and I love every bit of it. This is the post-mission screen that we're looking at. So after the first one, it lets us choose the difficulty. And just to give you guys a little bit of a heads up, every mission, it lets you double check if you want to keep that difficulty. So I think Platinum just being very well aware that sometimes their games are considered pretty hard. Personally, as hard as they are, I think they have a lot of fun behind it, and I think the mechanics work well, and therefore there's, I guess, some reward to playing it at a higher difficulty. So we're going to keep it at Platinum Standard. Looks like you unlock Platinum Ultimate every time you beat it on Platinum Standard. So maybe we'll go back and do that once we finish the entire story. I do want to put a disclaimer out there. As you can see in the title, this one's actually a pretty introductory episode. We pretty much spend the entire time exploring our HQ, which is our home base, both within the universe and also for gameplay. So it's going to be a lot of exploring, meeting NPCs, figuring out what the world looks like, figuring out how our menus work, and what interactions we can have every time we finish a mission. So if you're really interested in how this game comes together and what's going to be the linchpin of the gameplay, then you want to check out this full episode. If you want to just kind of go through the story and continue checking out what it looks like, then feel free to skip ahead to the next one.
I've been waiting for you. You two have been chosen to join our special task force. You're on. We've already cleared your transfers from criminal affairs. This is an order from the Union itself. Consider it a promotion you can't turn down.
An order from the Union.
Wait a minute, Commander.
I'm still the captain around here. And these two, they're my kids. You couldn't have run this by me before?
Desperate times, Max. Captain or not, surely you understand the position humankind is in. I understand how you must feel, but I need you to be flexible.
Ah, shit.
Well then, I'll give you the short explanation. As you know, humanity faces the very real threat of extinction. Most believe this is due to mass corruption from the gates. But the truth is, there are worse dangers, which the Union finds prudent to keep classified. Dangers from beyond the gates. Invaders from a dimension outside our own. Chimeras, like the ones you've just seen for the first time. They're invisible to the naked eye, but they cast a dimensional shadow in certain circumstances. That's how we were able to detect them in the first place. But still, we were powerless to stop them. Meanwhile, the Chimeras dragged countless victims back to their dimension. Their corruption tainted the land itself. With most of the planet uninhabitable, we survivors fled here, to this artificial island we call the Ark. We thought we were safe, and we were for a while. But as you know all too well, it didn't last. At this rate, all of humankind will be pulled into the Chimera's dimension. We're facing down the end of the world, but I refuse to accept such a fate for our species. Through blood, sweat, and years of research, we finally made it. The ultimate counter-chimeric weapon. By neurologically syncing captured chimeras with human operators, we established control and made powerful allies. I'm referring, of course, to the Legions. The Legions gave you your first look at the dangers we truly face, but also a taste of the pinnacle of human ingenuity. But of course, not just anyone can use them. Only a precious few people have the natural faculties to synchronize with the Legion. People like you. I'm sure this is a lot for you to process right now, but your species needs you. Your species chose you. The two of you hold the future of humankind in your hands. We're counting on you. And now, I hand you over to him.
Well, it's been a while, huh? Your dad told me you'd join the police, but I never imagined we'd see you here in Neuron. But growing up with Max around, it's no surprise you turned out tough. Now that you guys are here, let me officially welcome you to the team. Oh, you should have seen Max's face when he found out you were coming. But between us, I think he's happy you're here. There's only 5 of us right now, but there are more candidates waiting for the ARI to make more legions. I know the commander talks a lot of gloom and doom, but relax. More help is on the way. Eventually. Anyway, first things first. It's time to get to know your legion. There's a training room downstairs. We'll go there and work on your fundamentals. I'll call the others. Max isn't picking up. Do me a favor and get him and Alicia for me, will you? I bet you'll find him up on the roof. I'll head downstairs and set up the training room. See you there in a bit. Oh, that's right. Open up the menu in your Legatus and you'll find a map of the station. Might come in handy if you get lost.
Well, that's a lot to digest. So it sounds like our legions are Chimera themselves that have been captured and tamed, which I guess was hinted at through the introductory cinematic that we saw when you first load up the game. But that's also the enemy we're fighting. So we're basically taking these beings from another dimension, taming them to fight them.
Jin hasn't changed a bit, has he? How long has it been since we last saw him? 2 years? Hey, remember when Dad
So it sounds
was
like
in the hospital
Jin's
and Jin
our,
came to take
I guess,
care of us?
uncle type
His
figure.
coping wasn't the greatest, but when you think about it, Jin's always been there for us. We gotta find some way to make it up to him.
So I'm not gonna lie, some of the writing or the presentation of the characters can seem a little bit cheesy or maybe over the top already, and we're not that far into the game. But I think what I do like is that what's very clear is every character does have a very distinct character behind them, very distinct personality, very distinct motives and tone. So at least that distinguishes them. I'd rather have that than it end up being a little bit bland. Personally, I love to go through the options and see just what's available, even if I don't end up tweaking every bit of it, just in case something stands out to me later in the game. I know if it's something I can or cannot change, and that manages my expectations. We had looked at the controls when we first started the tutorial. Now all the buttons are filled in since we got our Legatus and our Legion. Or I guess not every. We're still missing that right side on the D-pad. I don't know what that would be used for, but there's a couple of different options. Spoiler alert, I end up staying with preset A later on in the game, but I do move to preset C. And the big thing being, I don't like my main attack button ever being on a shoulder button when it's a action game. Obviously for FPSs it's a little different because there's a lot of sense behind making a trigger button the trigger for your gun in an FPS. But in basically fighting action games, I don't like it because sometimes you gotta tap it fast, sometimes it's a slow rhythm that you gotta ride, and something about the shoulder button, because there is more to press down on, it doesn't feel good. Obviously on Xbox and PS4 and even some PC controllers now, they have what you would call trigger stops, and therefore you can limit the amount that you have to press down, and it feels more like a very direct button rather than a full trigger. The Switch Pro controller, actually the trigger isn't that deep, so there's no need for a trigger stop, but it still feels different than just a face button on the controller itself. So I like to toy around with that. Eventually I come back to it. If you watch the game or if you've played the game, I think you would agree that there's reason that preset A works out a little better in terms of controlling your Legion while you're fighting. We went through a bunch of other options. There is co-op play available. It looks like then what you do is one person controls the Legion while one person controls the main character. That's an interesting notion. I honestly can't say if I think that would play out really well. I don't have any intention of purposely trying it on my own, and right now I'm not gonna just randomly invite someone just to play like one mission as co-op. So hopefully some other people have tried it out, but it is great that there is the option to do so. Looks like there's a photo mode that you can complete some challenges on. Mostly it looks like those are just for cosmetics, which puts me at ease because while I think photo modes are always really cool, I always forget to follow up on them, and then it bothers me a lot. Salvage items, probably junk that we can sell, not sure. But considering their limit is at 99, we'll hold on to it. Our map of HQ. As you can see, there's a lot going on. There's like a locker room, and there's our PC, which is our save station. Seem to be a couple other booths that we can buy stuff from. And there's several floors as well. So it's going to be a lot to do after each mission. In this episode, it's our first time, so we go through and check out everything. I think the other thing I wanted to double check and successfully did so is, checking for items that are around HQ that we can pick up, because whatever you pick up from supply boxes in a mission is a field supply item, which is a temporary item that you can only use for that mission. So I want to stock up on whatever I can for free without having to buy it. Yeah, there's my PC. Dual monitors, heck yeah. So you can change the difficulty, you can save here. You get 2 save slots, so you can't just like stock up on save files. Which is fine, especially because you can go back and replay missions, so it's not the end of the world. If you don't get the score you want, you can just go back and play it. It's not like you're doomed and now that score is ingrained forever in your save file. Yeah, so you can load up different files. It looks like you can check the results. So I guess the very opening bike scene had a red case as well, which I have no idea how you could even activate that because it was a rail sequence, but I'm guessing maybe if you take out every single, what are they called, aberration? Maybe that's how it works. But yeah, so you can change the difficulty and go back and play it. I like that that's just in the game. You don't have to go back to the main menu. I like that they went to length to develop a character per role. It's not just NPC 1, NPC 2. They all have names. They all seem to have very distinct personalities, even if they're not all voice acted. Like the one we just met at the desk, she clearly wants to be part of the action, but is committed to her job. Things like that. It's something that adds a lot. I'm not a huge lore person when it comes to games, but I do care about immersion, especially if it's part of a single player game. So while I'm not going to go to lengths to pick up every lore piece and read all bits of it, I guess really what it comes down to is I would like to feel that the game is immersive without having to do that. And I think so far this game is on the right track, we should say. So this is our customization option. You will be happy to find out that you can go back and change your hairstyle. So whatever you choose in the beginning, you are not locked into forever. And you can also change the look of your costume. And if you can do that per mission, you can have a lot of fun with it. You're not stuck with it, for any part of the game. There's enough. There's not too many, but it's also not. It's clearly not there just for the sake of being there. Clearly, it's meant to have a lot of fun behind it and offer a lot of options. The color scheme, I'm not really sure how that works, but we also just don't have any sets unlocked, so that's that. This is pretty much the standard costume set we have right now. So there's the hairstyles. You can go back and change all of it. So if you chose something and you're like, okay, I went way too anime on this one, you can go back and change it. We're going to keep the emo hairstyle on mine. And yeah, that's our mascot. just kind of chilling there, a little creepy. Most likely related to some challenges down the road. Let's see. Yeah, I'm looking for the photo mode because we saw the challenges on the photos and you can get rewards for it. With the mascot just kind of sitting there randomly, figured that was a photo opportunity, but so far we don't have the option to do so. And there's our first item pickup. So, as I suspected, there's items around HQ, but you will notice that that one actually has an exclamation mark behind it. So that means that is a field supply item as well. So what I presume is you can start stocking up on items before going out on a mission within HQ. So you can start stocking up on some stuff. That way you can decide if you want to buy anything right before you leave for the mission, or if you're good with all the freebies they gave you for that mission. The medics are the only ones that don't have names. They all just have different personalities. There's like kind medic, bored medic, there's the careful medic. I thought that was interesting that for whatever reason the medics are the only ones that just have characteristics and not names, but there you have it. Brenda, you'll note, is also the one that helped with our recruitment. She was the one who was helping test the chimeras in the opening scene. But it seems like she's also the doctor. So we can buy consumables, and we can also sell stuff. there's our salvage items. But currently, I don't know if they're ever gonna come in handy in a different way. If you've played games with me or if you've watched me play other games, especially MMORPGs, you know that I hoard items because I hate being left behind on things that I could have prevented. So if I don't need the gold, I'm not gonna spend it, or I'm not gonna sell it. Looks like just a basic array of heals, a couple cures on ailments and status ailments, and then a couple things for your Legion because you have that energy meter that you need to fill up. There's Avery. Seems pretty peppy. And that's because she is the energy drink specialist. She is basically the spokesperson, unofficial spokesperson for Vendor 3, which is our main source of boosts, so to speak. There's Leona, seems a little timid, and I meant to talk to Julia next to her, not Leona. And there's Julia. Don't forget, there's a couple cocky characters in here. And Julia's the gossip specialist. She thinks there's something going on between our dad Max and Alicia. We deny anything of the sort. You can chat to the vending machines.
What can I do for you?
So far, not much has come from it, but maybe we'll get some hints later. So most of these are just boosts for very short-term boosts, you know, for attack, defense. So most likely something you stock up on for like boss fights, or you know, if you think a mission's going to be difficult, you can pick up on it. There's our mascot, keeping the bathrooms clean. Of course, you can use the toilet. And if a game lets you use the toilet, you use the toilet. It's got a strong flush. And you also get tissue paper after you use the toilet. It is a little weird, but this is where we meet Belle, the toilet fairy. So I am convinced that Belle is just a human hiding out in the stall, but for now we have to believe that Belle is a fairy. Whenever there's a toilet in trouble, so yeah, we can talk to them again. Help me save this toilet from disaster. So I guess we just have to get toilet paper and bring it back. There wasn't really anything that indicates that this adds up to anything, but also because it's so absurd, it has to be something that adds up. There is the ladies' bathroom, but as you can see on the minimap, it is blocked off because we chose to be the guy between the twins. I'm assuming if we chose the daughter, we go into the other one, and Belle hides out in the other bathroom. There is the resting medic, counting down their break time. Always a bad feeling when you're at work and you're trying to relax, but you're also looking at the clock being like, oh boy, there goes my break, or there goes my lunch break. Alright, finally moving on to the heliport to find Max and Alicia so we can continue our training. This heliport gives me strong Deus Ex vibes. And I mean the new rebooted Deus Ex, not the very, very original. Sarah Bennett, another interesting character who doesn't speak, but Joey can understand her. So I don't know what's going on there. But I will say my interest is piqued, and I really want to find out what the story is behind Sarah. Also because she has a bandage over her eye, so I want to know where that came from. Joey's also got a mask on, but I can't tell if he has that on for fashion purposes or not, because in Korea and Japan, sometimes those are used for fashion purposes. Alicia Lopez.
Huh?
And and Maximilian Howard, our dad.
You guys need something?
Jin was trying to reach you earlier, Dad. He told us to bring you down to the training room.
Uh-huh. So that's the call you ignored earlier. So, what's the matter, Dad?
Alicia's
I've
got
never
such
changed
an
your
attitude.
diapers. You don't get to call me Dad. And neither do you, Akira. Just keep it professional. It's Captain here. I'm sure Jin can handle your training on his own. But there's nothing I can teach you that he can't.
Aw, he's just acting tough. You guys know he's just worried sick about you, right?
Alicia, why do you keep doing that? What?
Considering we're gainfully employed adults, shouldn't our captain take more responsibility for us than our father?
It's gonna be fun having you guys around.
Anyway, you two report to Jin for your training. Tell him I'm busy.
Yo, Akira just called him out.
That goes for me too. Sorry. But make sure Jin teaches you a lot, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am? You don't have to keep it that professional. I mean, we're all on the same team now, after all.
Yes, ma'am. I mean, thanks.
It's lines like those that are, I think, a little bit over the top and maybe not necessary, but again, I'd rather have more character than no character. Something you'll notice is, and maybe you caught it while I was talking earlier, is I did change the option so that the text shows up right away, because I can't remember if I talked about it in episode 1, but basically the text is slower than the speech, so it gets a little awkward, because there are certain conversations that are supposed to be pretty punchy, and you have to wait. I mean, you don't have to, but I just don't want to accidentally skip convos, so this allows us to keep the pacing on our own. I do think that that disparity probably comes from the language differences.
Alicia seems nice.
The length of sentences differ a lot between like East Asian languages and English.
Seeing him here with Jin and Alicia, it's a side of him I've never seen before. It feels weird.
It's also interesting that our character obviously doesn't speak. The protagonist does not speak. But Akira, our twin sister, talks a lot. And it seems like she has quite a strong personality, right? She's got a lot of curiosity. She's clearly very concerned about reputation and doing well, improving herself. Whereas our protagonist is just kind of chilling. Oh, extra item. And someone just hiding out. Ah. Okay. Well, we'll see if she ever needs to tell us our fortune later. For now, she's just a character, it looks like. This guy has an icon above him. But I don't know what he like sells or upgrades. Shinjiro Hattori. He's basically our Q&A person for our menu. The Legatus. And Tabitha, who I guess repairs, aka upgrades our gear. So I don't know what Ted does yet. It clearly looks like some sort of weaponry and armory, but we don't have any confirmation yet. And Roy. All of these characters having names makes me think that they're going to play a role later. Big steak fan. Well, not a bad thing to be a fan of. You still look rare. Again, some lines are a little bit cheesy, but yeah, I just don't know, if they just went to lengths to design these characters or if they are going to play a big role.
The captain said you could heal.
That guy's more sensitive than he looks. Oh, well. Alright, I'll run you through the basics.
Well, that's going to be us wrapping up episode 2. We will be jumping into training and more gameplay in episode 3. If you liked what you saw, please leave a comment below. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys with more Astral Chain action in episode number 3.